Welcome to All Things Retreat Podcast. I'm Holly Porter, your host and CEO of Retreat R&R. With over 25 years of experience in designing transformative retreats, I'm here to share insights and inspiration to help you create extraordinary experiences. Whether you're a pro or just starting out, you'll find valuable ideas here. Enjoy the ride. Let's dive in. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show today. Samantha's with us today, and she is a small business IP lawyer. After spending 5 years in Beirut, Lebanon, she came back to the U.S. in 2018 and founded Inline Legal. It's a 100% virtual Virginia licensed law firm that keeps creative service providers out of the courtroom and in the studio with chief legal officer services from Virginia's small businesses. Welcome to the show, Samantha.
Thank you so much, Holly. I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited to chat with your audience. This is going to be a good one, I think.
Yeah, well, it's an important one, that's for sure. A lot of people forget the legal part of things when they're running their businesses. So we have retreat leaders that are just starting out or aspiring, or they've already been doing it. But yeah, that's great. What do you think, just to start this off, would be at what point somebody should consider trademarking what they have?
So let's talk really quickly about what a trademark is and what it does to figure out when it makes sense for you to do that, right?
Sure.
So a trademark, the whole point of trademark globally, but particularly using like US based language, the idea is that it is meant to protect customers, consumers, people in the market from thinking that they're buying a product from one company and they're actually getting it from another. The idea is if they are confused into thinking they bought, the real Nike and they actually bought the counterfeit Nike, we want to make sure that customers know they're buying the real thing. That integrity, that reputation that you've built with your brand, with the events that you're hosting, whatever other side programs go along with your retreats. A lot of retreat hosts aren't doing just retreats, right? They're doing multiple things.
Right.
We want to make sure that your customers know it's coming from you. What does that normally look like? It normally looks like the name of your business, the name of the retreat, the name of the conference, the name of the event, whoever's hosting it, right?
Okay.
You could have a magical intuition retreat by Magical Retreats. Magical Retreats is the one hosting it. That is the brand. That's the identifier of the retreat. So that's normally what we would be protecting.
Okay.
Make sense
So
so
if
far?
you have a really clever name to your retreat
Yeah.
and you don't want anyone else to use it, that's when you would trademark, right?
Well, so it's not just whether you have a clever name or not, although that's definitely part of it. There's a moment when first you want to make sure that you're not stealing somebody else's name. Because if you are, even accidentally, right? So there's a limited amount of words in the English language. So coming up with, cool names is going to be harder the more people get into this business. And it's a growing industry, which is really exciting. But it does mean that coming up with totally unique names, unless you're making up new words, which I highly recommend because that's much more trademarkable, is going to make it harder and harder. And we don't let people in the US Patent and Trademark Office register trademarks for names that are totally descriptive of what it is that you're selling, because we don't want to prevent somebody else selling the same thing from being able to use that word, because that's not fair to the market, to the industry.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes total sense. So
Yeah.
your firm, how does it work? Do you hire you by the hour to do this, or are you a flat rate? How do you do trademarks?
So the way that we do trademarks is every application takes about, depending on if it's an easy one or a harder one, anywhere from 9 months to 2 years.
Wow.
So this is a really long process, and we don't think that businesses, look, there's ups and downs in businesses, right?
Yeah.
Your cash flow might be really great one day. It might be really bad the next month because you've just booked everything for your retreat and paid everything before the money started coming in, right?
Yeah.
We don't want to be following up with people saying we can't move forward with the next step because we've got an hourly billing. So we do a flat fee for the core part of the trademark process that absolutely everybody's going to go through.
Okay, so rest assured, listeners, I think I'm right on this, so verify this for me, Samantha.
Go on.
If you've been hired and you're working on that, you're saying 9 months to 2 years.
9 months.
What happened? Is that reserved if you've already filed and you're even in that waiting period? Is that name, nobody else can come out from under you and steal it, right? If you got it like in the works?
Oh, like all things legal, I'm going to give you an answer that unfortunately isn't crazy clear. And the answer is it depends.
Okay.
If somebody's using the name first, theoretically, they have the right to fight you regardless of when you filed.
Oh,
But they're going to
okay.
have to spend a lot of time, a lot of legal fees, tens of thousands of dollars likely to do that. When
Yeah.
you actually have the registration after that 9 months or 2 years, the default assumption is that that name is yours and you're the one that gets to send the nasty lawyer letters instead of receiving them and defending against them. It's a lot
Right.
cheaper and a lot easier.
Yeah. True. Okay.
Yeah.
That's true. Well, tell us about, is there some laws about retreats that we should know about?
Oh goodness, like anything, there are hundreds of laws because the US has a very complicated system, and it depends also where you're hosting your retreat. So, starting off, within the United States, of course, you're going to want your own entity, your own business company, right? Whether that be an LLC or a corporation. Starting point, a sole proprietorship, if you've heard this terminology online, is not a registered company. You have no separation between your personal assets, your house, your car, your bank account, and somebody suing you over something going wrong on the retreat if you have what people call a sole proprietorship. There's no separation there. So, A, go get that regardless of whatever state you're in. And then start looking at, because a couple states, thinking of Florida especially, have really strict rules around what qualifies as being a travel agent. And retreats, unfortunately, can move into this space of travel agents. And if you don't have that registration in that state or you're operating there, right? Even if you're in a state that doesn't care that you're doing this and you have the retreat in Florida, Florida can get real pissy real quick about the fact that you're operating, you're providing housing, you're providing transportation, you're arranging these things for other people. So
Right.
be very mindful of where it is that you're operating from and where it is that you're hosting your retreat. This includes if you've gone international. Bali is notorious, and a lot of folks are trying to go to Bali now.
Yeah.
Bali is notorious for wanting to have business licenses, even if you're only operating there as a business for a week.
Okay. But that part is probably pretty inexpensive, I would think, wouldn't it be? To do
Bali
just to
specifically?
get the business license. I'm just
Yeah,
curious.
it's not unreasonable. And especially if you're taking people to Bali, you should be charging plenty enough money to make that reasonable in your cost
Absolutely.
analysis. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, when we talk about trademark, a lot of times you hear the word IP, intellectual
sure.
property. Let's talk about that for a minute too. What's the differences?
Yeah, so intellectual property is actually it comes up, it's three different things that we hear about. And in the online community, these things are really, people use them interchangeably,
Yeah.
which I'm glad there's discussion about them, but that doesn't mean there's a good understanding of what it is and what it is you're creating and how to protect it. So, trademark is one aspect of intellectual property. It protects, like we talked about, that brand, that who's selling you the thing, protecting the customer so when they buy it from you, they don't think they're buying it from someone else.
Right.
The second one is copyright. Copyright overwhelmingly protects content. Anything that somebody else can listen to, including this, anything somebody else can watch, including this, anything else that somebody can read or engage with, your posts on TikTok, the workbooks that you hand out during your retreats, all of this is content. Unlike trademark, copyright gives you protection the second another person can engage with or interact with what you've made. That does not mean that's the easiest time to enforce it, right? It's actually quite hard to enforce it if somebody steals your stuff and takes it on another retreat and starts using your workbooks. You now have to prove that they made money off of that, when they stole it, when you created it. You get into this fight of, like he said, she said, evidentiary battles, which
Yeah.
normally winds up in a courtroom and really expensive. Fortunately, a couple of years ago, US Congress created a small claims court, a virtual one, that is much more accessible. The evidentiary procedures are much more simple. People can do it with or without an attorney, but it is simple enough that you can handle it without.
Hmm.
But you can only enter that if you've registered the material that you will say has been stolen and used by somebody else. You have to register that with a copyright office. Fortunately, that registration is much simpler than the
Oh,
trademark registration process, much faster, much cheaper. And generally, if folks are creating a lot of content, a lot of workbooks, a lot of videos, a lot of programs,
yeah.
figuring out how to do this themselves is a really useful skill in their business.
Okay, so I'm going to open up a whole new can of worms here. When we're talking about copyright and we've got such easy access to AI right now, specifically when
Yeah,
we're in ChatGPT, and they're getting content from there, even if they're putting their own flair and swing on it,
sure.
how how can that be copyrighted? And is it trackable or traceable or whatever the word is?
So, oh yeah, you have opened up a can of worms, and I will tell you, the global legal community is still figuring out the answer to this.
Right.
As of the date of this recording in the United States, let me add all my lawyer qualifiers, right?
Uh-huh.
Um, right now, the prevailing view is that if you ask any AI or LLM to spit something out as it is, that in and of itself is probably not copyrightable because you have not, as a human, engaged with it enough to create something unique. And that's the point of copyright protection. We want to protect the imagination, right? We want to protect the beautiful things that come out of your brain. We're not worried about protecting the beautiful stuff that comes out of the chat GPT.
Which is probably out of someone else's brain, and that's where they picked it up from.
Which is 100% out of somebody else's brain. And there's all sorts of lawsuits about the LLM stealing stuff from other people's brains to feed back to you right now, too.
Yeah.
That being said, there are, especially in the overwhelming majority of material that has been fed into LLMs, has been written by straight white men from Western countries, which means the voice that's coming out of the LLMs is generally sounding like a straight white man from a Western country. Shocking, I know. Even just putting your voice and your experiences on that, if you are not a straight white man from a Western country, is already going to create something unique and likely protectable. But the point is, you have to engage with it. You have to change it. You have to make it yours. If the LLM or the AI or the ChatGPT just spit it out, yeah, it's not yours. Let it go. Everybody else can probably create it too.
Right. Yeah. That's why I was wondering how they're handling that, because I can't imagine
We're
that not
figuring
being
it out, is the answer.
kind of like COVID. We were all having to figure it out. It changed
And we're
everything.
gonna screw up along the way, and we're gonna get some things right, and we're gonna hope we learn our lessons from it. Same
I
thing,
hope
right?
so. Yeah, yeah. I think we have a lot with AI coming in the next couple of years. That could be some big problem. What? Let's see. What's the word? Problematic.
There you go. We got it.
I'll figure it out. Yeah. Anyway, all right. Well, let's talk about your gift for a minute
Oh,
here.
can we rewind just 2 seconds?
Absolutely. And I can go back in and edit this, so no problem.
Just because we forgot about the third pillar of IP, and I just want people to know what the third one is.
Hey, let's put a big pause for a minute, just so when she comes back in to edit this, she'll make sure she catches it. Let's just be quiet for 15 seconds. Okay. I just want to make sure there's enough that, that she can take that out of there. Anyway.
Yeah. So, and then to throw this in, just because it doesn't generally apply to retreats, but the third point of intellectual property is patents. This generally is going to protect things that are invented, right? If you're Bill Gates, if you're, what's his name, Ford, GE, they make new things that didn't exist in this planet before.
Yeah.
Whether that be something you can hold or a software or a process. Most of the time, although we're all geniuses, right? If we're hosting retreats, we're already sharing genius with somebody. We're probably not inventing things. So for most people in the retreat space, patents isn't something they really need to worry about. And I say this only because there is some person going around on the internet saying patents is the best form of IP protection you can get. Trademark is the second best, and copyright's the lowest. That is inherently wrong. They do different things for different reasons. They're not better. They're inherently different. So
Okay.
in your retreat, you're going to be creating a lot of copyrightable material. You are inherently. Every
Yeah.
recording, every video, every photo, every workbook, that's all copyrightable. And then the brand behind your retreat, that's going to be the trademarkable thing.
I love that. That's a good explanation. All right. So let's see. What kind of requirements are involved there to trademark?
To get a trademark?
Yeah.
So the fortunate thing with trademarks is you don't need to be using the trademark as of today. It's a little bit cheaper if you are. But if you're really, really married to the name, to the brand behind what you're building,
Yeah.
you can kind of go ahead and stick your name in line by saying, I'm planning on using this and I plan on selling these things under this brand. This hold my spot, and they'll kind of hold your spot for up to 2 years. They'll hold it for 3 months, and we can keep renewing those 3-month extensions.
Okay.
So that's really good to know. The second thing that's really important to know is the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office will not accept trademarks for things that are purely generic or descriptive around the thing that you're selling.
Okay.
So if you come to me with restful retreat, it's not going to work. Not for a trademark. You can build a business around it because nobody else can kind of claim that name either, but you won't have the ability to shut somebody down if they start operating under the same name as you. Because the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office isn't going to give them or you the right to exclusively use that name, right? You can't be the only one using names like that. And then knowing that we have to submit evidence with every application,
Yeah.
showing that you are using it or when you will use it within that time frame is important that a lot of people don't know.
Right.
And most importantly, we cannot protect that version of the name. Well, you can, I guess, if you've picked every category, but the way that the US Patent and Trademark Office works is you have to choose the categories that you want to protect your brand in.
Okay.
Why? Because Restful as a brand is totally descriptive of retreats, and we're not going to let that happen.
Yeah.
But if I say Restful, I don't know, I'm looking around, rugs, that's not descriptive of my rug. I can definitely sell rugs under that name, but I don't want to prevent somebody who wants to sell Restful rugs from existing and being the only person that can sell rugs under Restful
Yeah.
because you exist under Restful retreats. So we have to claim each category, and each one of those categories is fees paid to the US Patent and Trademark Office.
Right.
And
Okay.
weirdly enough, digital and paper notebooks are different categories. So
Well, I was
working
even
with a
thinking,
trademark attorney to understand that is going to help
yeah.
you get the most bang for your buck on a single application.
Well, and I was even thinking, wouldn't a different trademark be your logo, and then another one would be your name, and maybe
Yeah,
your swish or whatever you use? Those are all separate,
100%.
right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So Nike, perfect example.
Yeah.
Nike is trademarked. The red swoosh or orange swoosh, orange. It's actually trademarked in black and white, so they can change the color to whatever they want. By the way, hot
Mm,
tip: don't
that's
care about your
smart.
color.
Yeah.
Hi, that's what we do as trademark attorneys.
Yeah.
And of course, the just do it. All three of those things are trademarked because all three of those things signal to a customer that what they're buying comes from Nike.
Is yours. Yeah. I can't believe on like TikTok sells their shops and stuff, how many dupes there are. And it's
It's
amazing how,
impressive.
if someone's selling a lot, it's like next thing you know, there's a product that looks very similar, and it's
Yeah.
just very sad. You just don't know.
Yeah.
Sometimes, how do you know? Sometimes, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Well, and but this is also the point of trademark existing, right? It is brand protection. It's your ability to fight against counterfeit in a world where dupes can pop up so quickly. I can
Yeah.
copy your website in all of 5 minutes with the right AI.
Oh, in the code and everything in about 2 minutes,
Everything.
maybe.
Yeah.
I've watched
And
it.
that's only going to speed up, which means
Yes.
reputations and brand are going to become that much more important because that's how your customers, that's how your retreat attendees, that's how your future team members come to identify and know something that they're engaging with comes from you.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, now let's talk about your quiz gift that you have. It's looks like it's what if a trademark makes sense to you? Do you want to tell us about it?
Absolutely. So something that I found in the years that I've been doing this is we get a lot of folks who, frankly, they're scared to talk to a lawyer because they don't have the knowledge because they didn't go to law school
Yeah.
about what it is they even need or what makes sense in their business, and they're afraid of what that's going to cost them. Right? My industry is notoriously expensive, and I get it, and I'm sorry. I don't know. I'm trying to fix it in my small corner of the world. In light of that, what we've done is we've put together this quiz that walks you through whether a trademark even makes sense for you and your plans for your business as it is, because it doesn't make
Mm.
sense for everybody. And there's different points when your visibility is much higher, when you're doing riskier things, where it starts making a lot more sense to do it, right? Or if you're really married to the name and you have no intention of ever changing it, no matter what anybody tells you, where these things become not just, oh, that's something we should do one day, to things we should have done yesterday, right? So we have a quiz that walks you through where you're at in that process. And then if it's a yes, the quiz continues on to tell you whether your name signals in a general way, whether it's unique enough that the US Patent and Trademark Office would probably let it go through, or whether it's like completely descriptive. And if you want the trademark, if you have plans for licensing or expanding, letting people use your brand to sell things in your name, then you probably need to rebrand. But say, we'll tell you those things in this quiz. It takes all of 15 minutes. You can do it in your underwear. You can do it watching Netflix. You do not have to find a time on a lawyer's calendar and try to explain this. And it's not written in legalese. It's written in plain, simple English.
I love it.
So it should be understandable and easy to go through. And, there's ridiculous gifts in there and stuff like that too. So
Oh,
we
that's
tried to
great.
make it more accessible.
Well, I think I'm excited to check that out myself, actually.
Please.
We'll put it in the show notes below. So if you're driving or walking, listening to this right now, you can come back and grab them and grab that link. We'll put all our Samantha's social media links there. And do you want to leave one last thought with our listeners today?
Oh, I don't, the one about, just adding your own voice. I think that one was already pretty good, but I think for today, retreats can exist for a lot of reasons. And the transformation that you're providing to anyone who's attending your retreat is really what you're selling, right? If you're just selling the destination, you are more of a travel agent.
Yeah.
But I know the people listening to this show are not that. They're seeking knowledge to make their events better, to provide better transformations for their attendees. And the best transformation you can provide them is going to come from a strong foundation, knowing that you've done everything in your end to create space for you to think about the luxuries and no longer just the foundations. Having help, having backup plans, having strong contracts. If your brand is something you want to protect, having that protected, right? Having the right team in place, not just from my side, from a bunch of other people, is going to allow you to focus on the transformation rather than the potential issues that are going to come.
Love it. I love it. Well, thank you for all the golden nuggets today. I hope all of you can take some of these tips and consider what you have and go take the quiz.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank for joining us on this episode of All Things Retreat. We hope you're leaving with new ideas, fresh inspiration, and the motivation to take your retreats to the next level. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. It helps us grow and reach more retreat leaders like you. And if you have any questions, topics you'd like us to cover, or just want to say hello, send us an email at info@weretreatrnr.com. Follow us on social media to stay connected and catch all the latest updates. Until next time, remember, great retreats start with great intentions. Let's make them extraordinary, one step at a time. Thinking about hosting a retreat? Before you dive in, let's make sure you're really ready. Grab your free Are You Retreat Ready checklist and find out if you've got everything in place from your purpose and pricing to your audience and agenda. Don't guess. Get clear. This quick checklist will show you exactly where you stand and what you need to make your retreat a success. Click the link below in the show notes to grab your gift and take the first step toward hosting with confidence.